Just running out of flying sites, and I'm in that same boat in Colorado.
Well, everybody should use a Fox 59 and, or whatever the long nose thing is, and open
Yeah.
muffler.
And actually, Jim Hoffman brought up one really good point that I think he really cinched it for me too, is that, okay, I'm not, he mentioned that in some parts of the world, I think in Australia especially, they run old time stunt, and they have a real strict criteria for period correct issue. You use the right engine, you use the right prop, you use the right fuel line, you don't use a fuel filter, you use the right wheel. You get points for all of those things. And they have almost no participation, because it's almost impossible to do.
They legislate the participants right out of it.
That's it. And yeah, their road to good intentions took them straight to hell, right? So
Exactly.
And we were trying to encourage people. to
We wanna have
participate with-
inclusion. That's
Exactly.
what we want.
yeah.
I think
We
if
did
you-
use, there is a piece of language in there that sounds controversial too. When you run a contest, if you got somebody who comes over and is, all they got is a stunt plane, you say, what's old time stunt all about? Let them fly the airplane. Don't let them place. Let them fly the old time stunt pattern, even if it's with a modern airplane, and see if you can set the hook.
Mm.
Let him come back in 2 weeks with the ringmaster that's hanging up in his attic that he used to teach his grandson to fly.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a nebulous kind of thing, and I don't know how much I'd rather see if we can do something to gather some people, try to practice inclusion and stuff like that. You know,
Look at all the gray hairs in here.
But let me throw you back. Read paragraph 1 on page 1. Read paragraph 1 on page 1. And you can start anywhere you want, but I'm gonna start with a bold print. Above all, the event should be fun. For these reasons, suggest that contest administrator should err to the side which fosters increased participation. If an electric motor fosters increased participation, don't stand in the way of it.
mhm.
Can I add just a little something? Before the revision came, before the cleanup came, Dennis and I had talked about old-time stunting. And I'm a believer that it would be a great event for brand new people. And I wanted to see some new blood. I want to see some new people getting into old-time stunting. And then the next thing, of course, was this. And, you know, one of the things that we have to face is we need to find new pilots, younger pilots. Okay? And I'd rather have someone fly a humongous, or whatever you want to call it, rather than an SV-11 and be into that realm already. You know, let them see if they like it. Don't worry about the flaps. Have some fun. Simple pattern. And maybe that should be beginner, maybe that should be intermediate, I don't know. But to me, it's a very valuable event that's underflown.
I think there is an intimidation factor to a whole pattern, right? And if you can bring a simplified airplane and fly a somewhat easier pattern, no square corners or anything to speak of or anything like that, you'd like to think that would be the right direction to help bring some people in and stuff like that. Personally, I'm worried about all of us who are either have or developing vertigo and stuff like that. I'd like to see, that's not tonight's discussion, but I'd like to see us find a pattern that we can do that's under 45 degrees, you know, like that's another stuff. But yeah, I think, and thanks, John, for bringing that up, but let's see what we can do to drag, you know, to bring people in, set the hook, get them involved, so.
Oh, can I interject something? Getting involved with that guy right there going to schoolyards or whatever. We need to get out in the schoolyards again.
If you can.
Okay, our committee, all schools are closed.
Yes. One of the things, we just had a contest back in Fort Wayne here a couple of weeks ago, and we ran it in conjunction with the RC Fun Fly, their vintage Fun Fly, right? And then we had a bunch of RC pilots coming over saying, "You see, I still fly that? I still got a ringmaster, you know?" "Oh, yeah. The thing we missed, I missed, CD for that, is I should have had some kind of a ringmaster fun fly going on the side, and that's in next year's plans. But I want the RC guys, I wanna see if we can retread some of these folks. Bring their own, fly mine, I don't care. And I will say that we were talking about the retreads and the RC flyers and stuff like that, something like the electric models is something they're already doing, they're comfortable with it. Alright, said, okay, you wanna fly this? Well, first you gotta go find a carburetor and, an RC Venturi and needle and all that kind of stuff. And it's not a big deal, but it's like, it's an unnecessary complication. You don't even have to do that. At least in my field, I mean, we got tons of people already have electric stuff and everything like that.
Did anybody from the campground show up over there? I don't know.
We have a few kind of walk through and they're almost invisible.
No, I mean at that contest we were.
I don't know if we had them at the contest, but typically there's people camped out there almost all the time, and they usually, at least a day or, they'll come by at least sometimes. So we do even have people drive in to visit and stuff. All right. See, we're already 20 minutes in. What I want to jump ahead to page 5 here. This is the judge's guide, which is, I think, the main thing that I wanted to talk about. And I just want to point out a couple of things here that we did. First off, what we tried to do, this is a 2-column presentation, and what we tried to do is in the right-hand column is a verbatim copy of the 1952 rules. All right, and in the left-hand column is a modern judge's guide, and the purpose of the judge's guide, we certainly can't edit or rule change or anything like that, the 1952 rules, but we can act on, enhance, add to, subtract from, whatever the judge's guide on that, and how we're going to interpret it in the future and stuff. So we, after a couple of stabs, said, gee, I'd like to see that, we, Jim and Mark and I said, no. Let's just stick to what's actually there, all right? What does it say and what doesn't it say? Because it's amazing, every time we go through this, somebody mentions something, oh, I thought you did this. No, there are things that have become part of our old-time rules that ain't there, all right? Things like maneuver sizes and stuff like that. And, I guess my favorite example I keep coming back to is like the round loops. All right, they're impossible to fly in the 1952 pattern because they say the loops can be no bigger than 60 degrees tall. Well, they have to be round, no bigger than 60 degrees, and 90 degrees wide. All right, think about it. If you fly, you can hit any 2 of those 3 criteria, but you can't hit all 3. If you do a 90 degree wide, 60 degree tall loop, that ain't round. You can do it round at 90, or you can do it round at 60. But you can only, in that case we're going to do 60 degrees and round. That's what a round loop is. Right? And so we've made some distinctions like that. And the same thing like in the aces, it had to be, 90 degrees or 180 degrees wide. Really, they had to be wider.
Quarter lap, isn't it?
No, it was a half a lap.
The horizontal figure 8 said it's supposed to be half a lap. You're supposed to cover 180 degrees.
So it's 60, okay, there's 2 loops side by side, 60 degrees tall and 180 degrees wide, all right? And then each loop, again, they're applying the 60 by 90 criteria to each side of the maneuver, which means you can do a wonderful oval 8, double oval 8, but you can't do, you can't do a round. Okay, since we're mentioning the 8s, the one thing that has always come up in pilots meetings is what do you do with the intersection of the 8, all right? And I think I got your attention at it. And everybody says, well, gee, the diagram shows the 8 going like that. But the words say the 8's like this, all right? And we tried to make that clear, and I think that's one area where Mark's new diagrams are absolutely crystal clear. It's 2 circles directly touching each other, but no flat spot, no X in the middle.
No
right?
D's. No D's.
No D's, no X's.
No D's, no X's.
Just a kiss in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Or I'd like to use the term, it's like a square corner. Instantaneously, you're going from this control to that control, instantaneously. You know, it's not something you buy into, it's a snap. It's like a square corner, it's a snap.
Can I add something?
Sounds like you will anyway.
That Randy Smith taught me.
Yeah.
At the stunt clinic down at Joan Hall, I was doing figure eights, and he was stunt clinicking me.
Right.
Okay? And afterwards, he asked me, he quizzed me, he said, how long should that intersection be on a figure eight, either horizontal or vertical?
Are you talking
You know,
PA or old time?
It doesn't matter, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, okay? He says, how long should that intersection be? He said, the length of the airplane, period. That's it. And if you think about this long enough and hard enough, if you think of the very center of your airplane, when it becomes vertical, you give it that input to go the opposite direction. That's the momentary kiss
Yeah.
point that I think
Well,
you're
that's
talking
it.
about there.
That's it.
It's the length of the airplane, that's it.
I would pick on Randy just a little bit and say, it's not even a flat spot, the length of the airplane, it is a flat spot, the length of the middle of the airplane, you know?
Yes, but your airplane won't bend in a curve. Your airplane will always be straight.
But you gotta try that.
Well, a very learned gentleman who knew more about stunt than I'll ever know, told me at VSC one time and pulled out 2 quarters out of his pocket and said, those maneuvers are supposed to look like that.
Yep.
Alright,
It happened to be Dennis's dad,
alright.
but that's what it's supposed to look like. It just touches, it don't do this, it don't do this, it just does that.
But again, the main reason, yeah, the main reason I'm bringing that up is that that's one of the things that always comes up in a pilot's meeting. How are you gonna judge this? What should it look like? The common language that we're trying to develop is it's gonna look like the 2 quarters.
Yeah.
Right? And we're not gonna, we can discuss that on a contest day or something like that.
So it's here, it's there, and it's up there.
Yeah. Ding, 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 either way, it's, you know, it's just a momentarily, you know, the airplane is passing through vertical on its way to someplace else. It's not spending any time there, so,
Well, that clarifies a lot of questions.
I don't know,
I
what's?
think the important thing though, on page 6, there's 3 things there that we've got in here that have been mostly adopted, at least in BSC, regarding the tire. One is the 2 laps between maneuvers
Yeah,
are required, they're not optional anymore. So the judge has time to write down the score
Oh, yeah,
before you
Well,
come
it's a
around.
simple courtesy,
that's only fair.
yeah.
And then making it flight official when you do the dive maneuver, sort of analogous to the inverted pullout in the wing over for a classic pattern. Because there was, you know, people forgot to put their hand up, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and you all know about that. And then reference to level flight, we made it consistent to be between 6 and 10 feet in every case for each of the maneuvers. It refers to level flight.
Mhm.
So those are the 3 things that I picked out of this whole thing, that are, you know.
Yeah,
Dennis, can I say,
there was, yeah, Wayne,
on the scoring, all that K factor. K factor to me, and I don't use it at any of my contests because of scorekeeper and because I think it hinders the judges. If you take your K factor times the 10, say max
Mhm.
score, so that it's 40 points, the judge has a full range anywhere he picks.
Mhm.
But if you limit it to 10 and then multiply it times the K factor, you've left points out or you've given somebody points they shouldn't get.
Mhm. Just a quick question, you guys who run old times in your areas, what score sheet do you use? How many people use the K-Factor score sheet? I'm seeing a lot of nothing. All right, how many of you use the one that's, it's got different scales, 0 to 10, 0 to 40, things like that? How many people use that? Okay. Okay. I would suggest that we have we now have something identified here. We have something we've recommended as a score sheet. If we're making a wrong recommendation, write a proposal up and say, gee, we should use this other score sheet as the official score sheet and not that score sheet. The SE can still do what they want on their event and everything like that if they want to use the K-Factor or not. But what I'd like to do is just keep it a consistent thing, and, you know, if you suggest that we should do this, and if there's enough support for it, we do it. Right?
Cause I've been a scorekeeper and so is Kathy.
And by the way, when I say Pampa, you know, Mark and Jim and I worked on this, but we went to Bismarck, our president, and he took it to the executive council, which is the, you know, the district VPs for each of the districts, and, you know, we got their approval.
Nobody objected to the score sheet.
Hmm?
And nobody objected.
Nobody
to the score
objected to the score sheet, which, you know, and it could be that, you know,
Me, myself, as a score,
Well,
as a
it-
judge, a scorekeeper, and
Mhm.
tabulator.
Yeah.
I had an issue with it